Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It is 6:02 p.m. on June 12th. We're going to call to order a regular meeting of the Board of Education. Please silence your electronic devices and we'll stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We're going to take care of a few minor housekeeping items first, and then we're going to move right into our recognition of the retirees this evening. So first, I'd like to note that it's a special night for a number of reasons, but in particular, this is the last board meeting for Bray, who has served for how many years? 13 years on the Board of Education. And Kristen? 9 years. I can't even imagine the number of hours that you have each put into service for this district, so we all thank you for your commitment over the years. With that, Sue, are there any additions, deletions to the agenda to note? No? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes of the May 22nd Board of Ed meeting? Mike, second? Mel, all in favor? Aye. Okay, now we're going to skip right to business consideration 621, which is recognition of the retirees. Is there a motion to approve 621? B, I'm going to give it to you. You were struggling to get that one out. Second? Kristen? All in favor? Aye. Okay, Dr. Bailey?
Will you join me at the podium?
Sure.
The folks that we're going to recognize this evening represent hundreds and hundreds of years of service to the students in our community, which is amazing to think about, especially for those of us who may be at their beginning of their career and those of us that are nearing the end of our careers. And I wanted to read the statement that's on these certificates for each of the recipients. Whereas the education of this nation's children is of prime importance for the continuation of this nation, and whereas the people of the Ravena-Coeymans-Selkirk Central School District are greatly indebted to all employees who daily give of themselves that our children might be so educated. Be it therefore resolved that the people assembled at this meeting express their appreciation for the service rendered to our children. This employee has given of themselves that our children might learn, and we are most grateful. Therefore, we extend our best wishes for many happy and healthy years of retirement. And some of our folks will be retiring at the end of June. Some folks have already retired during this school year at various times when it was appropriate for them. And we're grateful for all those that were able to join us here tonight and those that were not. So, without further ado, please come up and receive your certificate. Peter Ballantyne. You can clap for him if he's not here. John Brown. Elizabeth Campbell. Jean Delbean. Jessica Dorr. You're going to really clap for the one that's here, I know that. Kathy Duravage. Lawrence Flanagan, Jr. I really do see some people in the audience. There's a good chance. Sandra Gollop. And thank you for coming, Sandra. D. Hushmendi. Maureen Martin. Bonnie McNeely. Got to really get in there. Joyce Moore. Deborah Newbart. Thank you. Lance Palmatier. I should have said the graduating class of 2024, the adult graduating class of 2024, but thank you for all those generous contributions to making RCS a better place for all these years. Thank you.
There are some snacks, refreshments in the back corner of the room. We're going to break for a few minutes to celebrate the retirees, and then we'll come back in 10 minutes. Sure. Good? 10 minutes. Okay, congrats again to our retirees. At this time, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter into executive session to discuss the matters leading to the employment of a particular person. Motion by Ed, second. Kristen, all in favor? Aye. Aye. Okay, thank you for your patience, everybody. We apologize for the length of time that we spent in there, but there was an important personnel matter that we had to discuss confidentially as a board. Next, we'll move through the agenda. You'll note that the public comment period is towards the end of this, but we hope to move through our business and personnel considerations swiftly. So first, looking at the personnel considerations, we have, bear with me, my computer just, the agenda went away. Give it up, Ed. What do we have, 6-1 through 6?
Oh, sorry.
620. So 6-1 through 620. Pull out 6-7? Okay, so Mel, you're gonna make a motion then for? Okay,
I'll second.
second. Any discussion? There are 2 donations this evening that I'd like to just quickly recognize and say thank you to the Stewart's Foundation and the middle school PTSO. So thank you for those donations. Is there anything else to discuss? Okay, all in favor? Aye. Aye.
I would just like to add, I know I have beat it relentlessly, but I would like to add to old business to please consider on 6-7, changing the TA position, the substitute pay rate, so that TAs are paid their outgoing hourly rate. Something we've discussed before, I just want it noted that I still take issue with that one thing. The 6-7 on the TA pay scale, if we are pulling that back in-house, I would like us to consider paying TAs the sub rate. It does not, it says only if they are subbing as a TA, will they get their outgoing sub rate. I just would like to see them get it, whether they're subbing for a teacher or.
Gotcha. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
So 6-7 is the remaining item that we have not taken action on yet.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve 6-7?
So moved.
Thank you, Bryce. Second?
Has she changed it?
We got to discuss, we got to.
We gotta discuss.
Well, discuss it.
Is there a second?
Yes,
Second, Ed. Okay. So Melly made those points about the pay schedule. Is there any further discussion?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Okay.
Remember last time you were saying?
I do remember.
No, he was here. He made the point that if they would be paid more than a certified teacher, I believe that that's not the case. Most of the time, they would be paid under. If there's a rare case, it would be a rare case that they would be paid over what a certified teacher would be. It would be under, but it would be over what the general 110 rate would be. I would like to see them get their outgoing hourly rate if they were to sub as teachers, particularly if we are in such need for substitute teachers.
So a TA who went out at $25 an hour would be about $175 per day
Right,
at 7 hours, yeah.
right. And I think most senior ones that I've spoken to are about 23. But a 30-year experienced TA who has taught the GROW program in multiple subjects, I do believe still deserves a higher pay rate than a first-year teacher. That is my feeling. I know, Bray, you disagree with me,
I absolutely disagree.
but that's my feeling, and I'd just like it noted.
I agree with you. I think experience counts for a lot when we're looking for subs, and especially in a time when that seems to be a struggle sometimes.
Yeah, we've batted a lot of this around at the policy meeting because it seems like a good venue to do that. So we can look at that, and probably looking at some examples would be relevant too. Then we have a better baseline for what that would look like. And we can
We're
come
going
back
to take this back to the policy committee, Dr. Bailey?
Yeah, that's reasonable.
Okay.
Most of the pay rates, actually, what I would ask is that you do approve. There are a handful that might be some summer work. Actually, at the very end, you see some training there that's relevant through the hours. Could we approve it and then make an addendum to it?
That's fine with me.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Yeah.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Moving into personnel considerations. We have 7-1 through 739. Is there a motion for one or more?
So moved. All of them.
Okay. Motion for all. Second?
Second.
Kristen? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, Dr. Bailey, do you have anything this evening?
State Education Department's been very busy. The Blue Ribbon Commission's been meeting for over a year now, and the big wow proposal to the Regents Board of Regents was the potential of eliminating Regents exams as a requirement for graduation. That's not something that's going to happen in 2025, but the fact that they're even having discussions about that is, Regents have been around since the 1880s, so the fact that they're talking about removing them and thinking about pathways is very meaningful, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. Elizabeth put out a notice that both the Assembly and the Senate approved a bill that all boards of education have an ex officio member. And there's not clear guidance yet because it hasn't gone completely through the process of whether it would be a requirement for this coming school year. But because we know that the way it's currently in place, it requires action by the voters in order to approve it. I think they have to hammer a few more things out, but
It's the governor's signature.
correct, yeah.
So, and then once the governor signs it, it becomes law the July 1st after she signs it. And the Assembly and the Senate can sit on that bill until December and before they deliver it to her.
So we have some time, but we've debated having an active ex officio on our board, so that decision will be made for us. I wanted to update us on the elementary principal hiring process. We saw Debbie's retirement tonight, celebration of her retirement. She's still coming to work tomorrow, but we celebrated her retirement tonight. We've done some screening interviews, and we'll be moving to committee interviews next week. There's representatives from our units and from the PTA. We have some excellent candidates, some seated assistant principals and principals who will be going through that process. So we hope to have it finalized before we close out the year. Ideally, that person is coming in by the end of July or beginning of August.
the incoming person have any crossover with Mrs. Newbart, or can we arrange that at some point? Is
She's
that-
done right on June 30th. However, she has asserted that she'd be willing to come back and help a little with transition. It would be important. Granted, Assistant Principal Tori will be here as well, which will be helpful, but we hope to have some overlap on that.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Summer lunch program that through the community has been reinstated, which is a miracle. $12,000 from the Seymour Fox Foundation and Stars Intergen are going to help deliver lunches to the children in our community for the 9 weeks of summer where school's not in session. And their central base, from what I understand, is going to be around St. Pat's. They might have another delivery point, but we'll be sending things home to our families so that they are aware of this. It's always been such a great endeavor. And the last thing I just want to talk about was our rebranding process, because it's almost September. I think that every time we come to the end of June. And we've been talking a lot about rebranding our buildings, doing vinyl decals on the entryways to all of our buildings, so it looks more like a college campus a little bit. And that would include our rebranding. We're talking about banners for our light posts outside our buildings and wall hangings inside. I talked to Jen before the meeting because basically we're buying all 3 levels of football uniforms for next year, so theirs will be the first uniforms that say Ravens on them. And we're still thinking of some things to do for when students come back to the door in September. It's way over the top and costly to give every student something, a t-shirt or something. It's $20,000, $30,000 to do that. But we certainly want to think of some ways for students and staff to feel as though they're coming back to this, arriving at this new mascot, which is the Ravens. And we're looking for a costume, that's the other thing. And the rebranding committee will help make a decision about which one we select for that. We had one meeting in May, I think, just to update about where we were on the timeline, and we talked about the vinyl decals. I showed some demonstrations of that, which are, you see them, like if you went to the Pepsi Arena, you'd see it. It's a decal that covers the doors, and in talking with our law enforcement, the awesome thing about them is they look great from the outside. You can see out from the inside, but it's a lot harder to see in from the outside. So it actually is added security as well. So we get rebranding and added security along with that. That's basically what we looked at.
Have they been part of the discussion of whatever we're going to be doing in the fall, or if we're going to have, I saw football came out with gear, but is there any plans for people to be able to purchase so that when we come back to fall sports and things, that
There will
people
be.
can already have gear?
So the other thing is, we like the logo and the mascot that we have now, we should own that. We, the school district, should own that, and we are genuinely interested in being able to share that with agencies and organizations that are affiliated with us. We haven't given it to anybody yet, so anybody that's selling stuff is now taking it from our emails or whatever and doing that. But we do plan on, by August, having a branding portfolio that people can order from. We're going to try and meet that timeline. So in other words, we'll partner with a company like we have in the past, like we partner with Val's and BSN, and there's a shop, and then you can go and buy stuff from there. But we have run into instances where people are using our name and our logo, and they are not affiliated with the school, and they're saying or doing things that are not necessarily in alignment with the work that we're doing. So we don't want to try and say this is an RCS affiliated.
I know, I just think it's important for at least the sports teams to be able to give
question, yeah.
parents time over the summer. I've already ordered our St. John Fisher gear, and that's, August, September. So
Yeah.
I just want to be cognizant of the fact that parents want time to be able to purchase. And
Right.
to be honest, September is not the time to be purchasing.
No.
There's so many other costs. So
Everybody else
if we
is
can
buying
get
too.
those things over the summer, it would be
Even if we have the brand available in August, there's gonna be a wait time on getting products.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
you don't want it to be long enough that the season's over before people get the gear.
Right, I agree. Everybody's ordering in the last 2 weeks of August, and it's a hot mess, right? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Bailey. Jean?
Just a couple of things. One, I wanted to update you on a slight delay on getting the code of conduct out publicly for review. We brought it back, the committee finished their recommendations. We brought that back to the policy committee where there were some further recommendations. So in the spirit of transparency, I wanted to put that back out to the committee, the subcommittee, so that they could just have their eyes on it one last time. So my plan is to have that to a public session for the July 10th meeting. Just a quick heads up that there are going to be some significant changes to the teacher evaluation. The Professional Practices Committee will next year really be focused on updating that we have plenty of time. The law is going to be, I think we have until 2031 yeah. I don't want to wait
really
that
far
long, and
away.
I don't think the teachers and administrators do either. So that will be a focus for the committee next year. But we're in good shape for that because we finished our professional learning plan this year, which is good for 2 years. And so next year we'll continue with the same APPR plan, but we will be working on revising that. Out of the pre-K and K screening, I met with a voluntary meeting with the teachers, principals, and support staff that were a part of that, just to debrief how it went with the centralized location, get some feedback. So we're looking at maybe revisiting that and having some changes for next year, possibly putting some of it back at the schools. But I wanted to get teacher input about that also. And I'm trying to think of a way to kind of hear from the families as well. Some of them had reached out during the process, but I want to make sure we hear from them too. I put a copy of the de-escalation and restraint training plan for you. This is one of the things that we discussed at the Board of Ed curriculum and instruction meeting as far as a plan for training staff that really allows for multiple entry points for all staff. It requires us to really pay attention to this annually and think about how we can make sure that new staff that are hired after the initial training that everyone will be doing because we have to, that they have that as part of their onboarding. And then finally, the special ed audit report was completed and shared with leadership on Tuesday of this week. So we anticipate sharing that with staff, and I'm going to be working with Colleen and Kate to schedule some voluntary meetings so that once, it's a long document, it's almost 30 pages, so that once people have a chance to read through it, they have a place to come and talk about what their impressions were, what the takeaways were. There are a lot of recommendations, as they always are with audits, so we want to think about how we prioritize what we are already addressing, because the audit actually took about 5 months. It started in January and went all the way through May. So some of the things that were brought up in the survey, concerns of teachers, we've already taken steps to kind of address because they came out through the budget process. They came out through some of the other things that have been sort of on their way to occurring. And I think if you take a look at the Board of Ed Curriculum and Instruction Board notes from our last meeting, we talked quite a bit about that. And so I do anticipate that we will be sharing the report with the board for our July meeting. Thank you.
All right, Jesse?
First off, tonight, I just wanted to address some of the questions that were brought up at our last board meeting. First was regarding the drain that was in the entryway to the high school and middle school to be repaired. So I did get a little background exactly what was going on with that. We have been trying for several months to get someone to come in and repair that, but we've struck out with several different vendors. We did finally get one at the end of May to come in, and it is scheduled to be completed by the end of June, so that will be repaired. The other question was in regards to the drop-off blacktop at Peter B. and also the drainage at the playground. So the blacktop work was completed on April 30th for the drop-off line at Peter B. I did go there today just to confirm, and it is repaired. As for the drainage for the playground, if anybody was down there today, you can see it's all being ripped up, and they're putting in perforated pipe in there to assist with the draining, which wasn't in there before. And then also with the new structure that is in place, there'll be some crushed stone in that area with some additional rubber like they have at A.W. Becker. So we should see much improvement in the area of flood control at that playground.
So what's the projected timeline for completing that playground?
I asked Bill because I knew you guys were gonna ask that. He said a few weeks. The issue is the site is very difficult. If he had more room, they could take all the dirt off in one shot, lay it down, and then put the stuff on top of it. But because it's so tight and there's children around, we don't want large, stones and everything else there. They have to kind of do it piecemeal it, so it takes a little bit longer. They've also run into some issues with getting supplies. Rock order took 2 weeks, which was a little bit longer than expected. So we're hoping to see it completed in about 2 weeks.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Just a quick couple updates on the outstanding capital projects. The $15 million project, we did get back some comments and questions that our architect and his team are looking at right now, and they'll be responding to them if they haven't already. So hopefully we can see approval by the end of this week, or next week. Cross your finger. Yes, cross your fingers. So for the $2.3 million project, the desert air install is in process. If you're over by the pool, you'll see a lot of heavy machinery over there. Demolition was completed on 6/10. The new unit was set in on 6/11. Electricians were there roughing in the new electricity. And they were on site. They'll be on site at the end of the week to hook everything up and make sure everything's running correctly. So hopefully by the end of the week, that will be running, and we'll have that desert air in the pool area. And then we'll be doing final walkthroughs and punch lists by the following week of the week of 6/17. So that project is near completion. We're hoping to get that done by the end of the year. Possibly scheduled. It's scheduled for next week.
Okay.
Again, with the Peter B. playground, the structure is in place, and again, the draining for it should be done in a few weeks. So with the pre-K playground at A.W. Becker, the committee has met twice, and we have put our requests into the vendor of what what that committee is looking for in a playground, and we're hoping to get drawings back from them very soon, and we'll meet again. Sure.
What financial support is the district giving? Because PTA is giving $20,000 to that playground.
We're waiting to see when the drawings come back, and it's what the committee wants, and then the district will talk about that, because we planned on using Lafarge funds.
Okay.
And there's a lot of other items that are coming out of that fund right now.
Okay.
And we just want to be, cautious of that.
Okay. So if we could just be kept updated.
Oh,
with that,
absolutely,
I would
absolutely,
appreciate it.
yep.
Thank you.
That's all I have.
Okay, thanks, Jesse. Okay, let's move forward to hearings and petitions. We have a number of people who would like to speak this evening, so we want to make sure that everybody has a full and fair opportunity to do that. So I'm just going to go over a few of the ground rules first, and then I'll call you up individually. Because we have so many people here tonight, please try to keep your comments to 3 minutes. If you exceed that limit, I'll let you know, and I'll ask you to please wrap up your thoughts. Please do not mention any particular individual, any personal information pertaining to any individual. Don't refer to anybody by name, please. So with that in mind, first person, Ted Smith.
Good evening, everybody. As much as I'd like to continue my recent habit of coming up here to highlight the wonderful things happening in our schools, like award ceremonies and year-end concerts, et cetera, tonight, unfortunately, I cannot. I've got to speak about something else. As we all know, to the point where it almost strikes us as cliche, teaching is as much a calling as it is a profession. Folks come to it because we love kids, and we love lighting a fire in their minds. Every year after we say goodbye to another class, another 100 or so kids that have become something like family, We regroup, learn from our triumphs and struggles, and recommit to doing it all again the next year. It is exactly this pattern that helps us become better and better teachers, to understand our content and curriculum more expertly, and to understand our students more fully. And yes, it does happen on occasion that we are involuntarily transferred from our positions. These occasions, thankfully, are rare and occur when there is a clear and necessary reason, when the students of our community require such a thing in order to drive them forward and reach their fullest potential. These decisions can be so disruptive and upsetting and are moves of such last resort that many districts actually have specific criteria articulated for when and how it can be done, and to demonstrate clearly how such a disruption is in the best interests of their students. RCS, unfortunately, has no such safeguards in place. So a transfer has been announced for the fall, a teacher who has spent a full 30 years teaching the children of this community, advocating for students and going above and beyond to support families in struggle and in crisis, who has spent his entire career teaching one specialized subject to one middle grade level, has been transferred to a different building, teaching content he has never taught to an age group with which he is completely unfamiliar. When asked why this transfer was happening, an administrator said, "We think that's where his skill set fits best." When asked to elaborate on this rationale to explain how, given the teacher's resume, that could possibly be true, the administrator, as if in acknowledgement of the absurdity, simply shrugged. Put simply, there is no rationale existing that suggests this transfer is in the best interest of our children. None. My members, your teachers, can simply not help but have serious and troubling questions as a result. Is this an attempt to force an expensive veteran teacher into retirement before they're ready? Is this a retributive move, punishing a teacher for aggravating administrators over the years through his committed student advocacy? Is it a convenient blend of both? When it clearly cannot be explained by citing the best interests of the students, these questions are, unfortunately, as unavoidable as they are discouraging. Look, I believe that everyone in this room and around that table wants to build a better RCS. None of us would be here if that weren't the case. But we cannot do that without trust and without good old-fashioned common sense. I believe this announced transfer is a big mistake, one that unnecessarily sows distrust between administration and teachers, and one that is not in the best interest of our students. I ask on behalf of my membership that the district reconsider this decision and to make the brave choice to reverse it. I believe the integrity of our school district demands it. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Next up, Kirsten Molino. Welcome, Kirsten.
Hello. Hello, my name is Kirsten Molino. I am a student at RCS Middle School and I am in 8th grade. I would like to take this opportunity to express my concerns about a change that is happening within the middle school. While in my time at the middle school, some of the teachers have stood out to me because of the way they teach. I've heard that one of these teachers is being questionably moved. We feel as though it is unwise to replace teachers who do such an exceptional job at educating the students at the middle school. It is unreasonable to remove teachers that have been teaching kids in the school for a very long time, especially if the teacher has helped many kids feel comfortable and valued. The teacher who is leaving was a great asset to the school. He is a very diverse teacher and always made sure his students understood the materials and felt confident. He was a trustworthy teacher who was easy and fun to talk to. Moving a teacher to a new grade level could cause new students to not get a chance to learn what they are supposed to. Thank you for listening to my concerns about this situation.
Nice job, Kirsten. Thank you. Next up, Patricia Grogan.
Good evening. My name is Patricia Grogan. I'm a resident and employee within the district. My career began in this district a little over 25 years ago. I saw the commitment and dedication many teachers had for the students and knew I wanted my kids to be here. I am proud to say 2 of my girls graduated from RCS and 1 is still here. My girls have had many teachers, some good, some meh, as my kids put it, and a few amazing.
Hey, Trish, I'm sorry. Could you just move the microphone closer? Thank you.
I think we have all encountered a teacher or two who has been amazing and has gone above and beyond and has made a difference. There is a teacher right now who's being transferred, and this teacher is one of those amazing teachers. When I first encountered this teacher, I did not like him. My reason for not liking him was because he told me how it was. He told me he doesn't coddle kids and he doesn't make exceptions, and he has very high standards and high expectations for all kids. I thought he was quite harsh and I wasn't impressed. When my second child went through the middle school, I had to deal with him again and I was dreading it. Shortly into my daughter's 6th grade year, she would come home talking about this teacher and what a great teacher he was, one of her favorites. I wasn't sure she was talking about the same teacher. Throughout the course of that school year, she developed a love for science and always talked about her teacher. This teacher became a regular name at our dinner table. He was making an impact and a difference on my kid. My older child would also chime in and say how great he was. My opinion of this teacher started to change, and I began thinking that I had misjudged him. It wasn't until my youngest was a 6th grader and had needs that had to be accommodated, and the district fought me hard on keeping those accommodations. It was this teacher who stood up and told me if I needed anything, he would help me fight for what was right. He would always ask me how things were going and would make sure my girl was doing good and that she was getting what she needed. When I heard the recent news of this teacher being involuntarily transferred to Becker for a 4th grade position, I thought it was a joke. I'm still baffled at this decision and would love to know who made this decision. Whoever made this decision obviously does not know the skill set of their teachers. This teacher has been in this district for 30 years and has been in the same position that entire time. One seriously has to ask, why move him now? This is not what the teacher wants, nor is this where he should be. It is hard to think that this was a move that was in the best interest of students. I truly hope this move isn't being done in a retaliatory manner. I know this teacher may speak up from time to time, especially when he knows something isn't right. I also know he is one of the best teachers that my girls have had, and he always puts students first. I think most of you are aware of the high turnover rate among new employees in our district, especially at the middle and high school. What I don't think you are aware of is the ultimate reason. Yes, pay may be one of them, but the way you treat your employees and those around them is key. This recent move is an example of not respecting your veteran teachers and not doing the right thing. Over the past few years, it seems to be a trend to move teachers that administrators may have a problem with, or maybe it's a way to remind teachers that administrators are in control. It is not okay. It's not treating your employees in a professional manner, and it doesn't improve morale among teachers. Teachers should not have to worry about being moved because they may have spoken out to a student or a coworker. Teachers should not have to worry about retaliation. Moving this teacher does not seem to be thought out or well planned. As you can tell by the attendance here, the school community, being employees and taxpayers, we do not support this decision. I stand here tonight and implore each of one of you as board members to meet with Dr. Bailey and the other administrators who may have had any part in this decision and change it.
Thank you. Thank you. Up next, Allison Leonard. Welcome, Allison.
Hello, everyone. My name is Allison Leonard. I'm an 8th grade student who goes to RCS Middle School. I'm here today to speak about my former science teacher. He is someone who has always helped and supported me all throughout middle school. He has given me more and more confidence over the years. When I was having problems with another student, he was there. He helped me stand up for myself and speak out. I would also like to mention how he taught our class. He has always made class fun with his stories and jokes and engaged us and made us want to participate in his class even more. He also taught many life lessons in his class. His curriculum is science, but he makes it more. He teaches with life advice along the way. He also supports our school very well by going out of his way to see our sports games. Teachers do not have to watch their students play their game, but he does. He's been to multiple of my games and many other students' games and events. Overall, my former science teacher is an amazing person and deserves the world. He's very kind and an amazing teacher. I couldn't thank him enough for all that he has done for me and other students. These, along with many, many more, are reasons on why he should stay in his position. Thank you.
Thank you. Up next, Michelle Williams.
Good evening. My name is Michelle Williams, and I wear a lot of hats in our community. I'm a Girl Scout leader, the secretary of the A.W. Becker PTA, the president of the middle school PTSO. I'm a wife, I'm a taxpayer, and the most important job I have is a mom. I have a high schooler and a fifth grader. I'm here to voice my concern about the most recent decision there is to move a science teacher from the middle school that has been there for 30 years teaching the same subject to a fourth grade teacher at the elementary school. I've been trying to wrap myself around this in my head for the past 2 weeks since I've heard, trying to understand how you can come to this decision, and I've looked at it in many ways. I really can't come up with how this is within the best interests of our students that are entering the middle school. What kind of precedent are you setting for teachers just starting out? We as a district have a hard enough time trying to keep teaching staff, so what is this saying about our district? That as a teacher, you shouldn't invest in your position because you're not valued as an employee? Staying at this district doesn't get you anywhere after giving 30 years of your life. I understand it's within the purview since K through 6 has the same certification, but please explain to me how taking a science teacher and moving them to elementary school to then have to fill the vacancy at the middle school for a science teacher is a smart decision. From what I understand, special education, mathematics, science, bilingual, and technology teachers are in high demand right now and hard to find. My high schooler still talks about this teacher, and she had him during COVID. I actually never even met him until the year she was in 7th grade, believe it or not, when things started to go back to normal. He was always involved, always attended our PTSO meetings. I beg you to reconsider and listen to your community. It really isn't in the best interests of students to move this teacher. Thank you.
Thank you. Abigail Gordon.
Teachers are extremely important people in our lives. They help us learn, make sense of our world, and they also support us along the way. Teachers are role models in our school, and now almost all students need a strong role model to rely on. And they keep certain teachers where they are is a good idea to make our CS community stronger and a better place. And I don't know what we would do without them. Teachers who are experienced with teaching children and or who are a staff member also know that kids are different in their own ways. Teachers are often fun to be around, but they can also be serious at times. They also know how to adjust children to certain different learning environments.
Thanks, Abigail. Up next, Kathy Blennis.
So initially, I had come up here, and not to take away from everyone else of what they said, I'm here to also to talk about that, but first and foremost, I just wanted to talk about what I initially came here to talk about tonight before this came up. At the last meeting, there was various programs presented, great promising programs, potentially at the middle school. And I strongly believe that those programs that we're looking to initiate at the middle school in terms of infractions and the decisions to change that behavior needs to start sooner. I don't think our 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th graders that are consistently breaking the rules did that, over the course of the summer. And I think that there needs to be consistent rules, and I know we have a code of conduct, but I think it needs to be pointed out at the lower grades. Those infractions are happening, but those punishments or those ways to change behavior aren't necessarily the same at the elementary schools. And I also think it needs to be the same at both elementary schools as well, across the board. Jean, you brought up the code of conduct. I think that a great point in terms of communication for the changes that have been made to the code of conduct, it would be really nice for families to know what changes were made and if those could be highlighted. We talked about orientation, behavioral expectations. I think it would be great if students and teachers and parents and children received that presentation orientation. It's probably the most well-attended in the beginning of the year. And then also fair, diverse representation for the parent committees. I think all parents, guardians should be given the opportunity to participate. I don't know how these committees are formed, but I'm a parent of two students. I wasn't asked to sit on that committee. I do sit on the PTO committee. I'm pretty active in the community, but I never received an email to sit on that committee. I don't know if it's still being formed. And then lastly, with regard to that, because I do want to talk about the other issue, Jackie brought up SRO presentations. It's in the contract that they're able to participate in presentations or assemblies. I think it would be great if our SROs did that at all buildings. I don't know, when I was a kid, it was like what was it, Scared Straight? It might help. I don't know. I'm just thinking outside the box. So anyhow, I would love to talk about that more. If the committee's still being formed, obviously I'm passionate about that. But anyhow, in addition, I'm here to show support for a man who has given 30 years of his life to this school. And I strongly support keeping him in his current position. For more than one reason, moving him to a position at the elementary school would be devastating to him and mostly our students, our fourth graders. This man stood up and advocated on behalf of my child when she needed extra help due to a recent medical diagnosis, and I'm here today to advocate for him. I would also like to point out the overwhelmingly negative message it sends to our current teachers and any teachers considering coming into the district. In addition to the mistrust that it fosters between the community and the district. Lots of, right, obviously we're here because we've all heard different things. So I advocate keeping him where he belongs, and I think it would be a disservice to those fourth graders, and nothing against the teacher. I just think it's hard to learn 4 subjects that you haven't taught for 30 years. Thank you.
Thank you. Last but not least, Adam Gardner.
My name is Adam Gardner. I'm an 8th grade student and the student council president at RCS Middle School. Today I'll be speaking on the subject of the transfer of my former science teacher to an elementary position. Some of you established board members might argue that he's unfit to hold the position that he currently holds, but today I beg to differ. My former science teacher knows the material in which he teaches better than any other quickly can, and he presents a unique and future-oriented teaching style that has truly left an impression on me, even still. He additionally prioritizes honest work in his students. Second, he cares deeply for the well-being of said students. The point in which I attended this teacher's class was the first point in my life when I started to think through the lens of a rational adult. And though a bit of my folly may still linger, the lessons I was taught by this teacher helped deeply to form myself into the person I stand as today. His encouragement has almost solely led me to go on and conquer the toughest challenges I faced in my life. The encouragement, however, is not the only reason I believe my former science teacher is suited for this position. In the midst of a time where most find themselves extraordinarily impressionable, many obstacles stand in the way of young men or women trying to grow up, such as an exceeding lack of sympathy in this world. He helps them fight through it. He helped me fight through it. He stands up for his students. My former science teacher helps young men and women grow in academic knowledge, emotional maturity, and moral dealings in a way that is perfectly suited for the grade level he currently teaches at. This is why you should admit me. Thank you for your time. I hope it wasn't ill-used.
Thank you, everybody. The board cannot respond publicly to any comments regarding a particular employee, but rest assured that we have heard your comments. We appreciate your comments, so thank you for taking the time to come out this evening. At this point, I'm going to ask for a motion to enter back into executive session to discuss the employment of a particular person.
Motion.
And second? Pete, all in favor? Aye. Thank you, and we will not be taking any further action after executive session tonight. Thank you all for coming.